I have been with my wife for almost 7 years, married for 4. Our relationship used to be the kind that made other people jealous, or at least that's what I told myself. She's always been the go-getter, the one with ambition, plans, drive. She got her degree, landed a corporate job, climbed the ladder. You know the type. Meanwhile, I've been, well, the opposite. I lost my job about a year ago. COVID stuff at first, then some deeper layoffs, then I just kind of gave up. I stopped trying. Stopped caring, really. I'd sit around the apartment all day, binge-watching whatever show numbed the noise in my head. I know how pathetic that sounds. I don't need anyone to tell me that. It's just, at some point, I forgot how to get back up. She never really screamed or nagged, not at first. She'd drop hints, like, hey, maybe you could try part-time, or have you thought about going back to school? But eventually those hints turned into cold silences, sighs when she thought I wasn't listening, her eyes glazing over when I tried to talk about literally anything. I told myself she was just stressed. Workaholics always are, right? Then it started. Little things. She was on her phone more, always texting, smiling at the screen. She'd suddenly have to stay late at the office more than usual. She started dressing differently too. New makeup, new perfume, tight skirts that hugged her like she was trying to be seen. She said it was just to feel more confident at work. I wanted to believe her. God help me, I really wanted to. But I think, deep down, I knew something was already slipping away. I just didn't have the spine to look it in the face. So, here's how it all went down. It was a Thursday night. I remember because I had just microwaved some leftover mac and cheese and was halfway through watching Breaking Bad for the 3rd time. She had texted earlier that day saying she'd be late again, some team dinner with the new regional manager. I didn't think much of it at first. That kind of thing had become routine. But then I looked out the window. We live in a small apartment complex with a decent view of the parking lot. I saw her car pull in around 9:30 p.m. It was dark, and she didn't see me peeking through the blinds. That's when I noticed something weird. She wasn't driving. Some shiny silver Audi I'd never seen before rolled up and parked right behind her usual spot. And there she was in the passenger seat, smiling, laughing, her hand on some guy's arm. And then they kissed. Full on. No hesitation. No see you later, boss kind of kiss. This was intimate. Familiar. I felt my heart stop. I ducked back like a coward and watched from the edge of the curtain. My stomach flipped. My face got hot. I didn't know whether I wanted to cry or throw up. I kept hoping maybe I was seeing it wrong. Maybe he was just a friend. Maybe that kiss didn't mean what it obviously did. But then I saw her grab her purse, kiss him again, slower this time, and step out of the car like nothing was wrong. She fixed her hair in the reflection of the car window, adjusted her skirt, and walked into the building like she didn't just nuke our marriage in the parking lot. I didn't say anything that night. She walked in, smiled like everything was normal, kissed me on the cheek, seriously, the audacity, and went to shower. I just sat there on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen, hearing the water run and feeling like the whole world had tilted under me. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept seeing that kiss replay in my head, over and over. Her smile, her hand on his arm, the way she looked at him, like she used to look at me. That was the night I realized the version of my life I thought I was living was already over. I waited 2 days. 2 whole days of pretending everything was normal while my insides were rotting. I couldn't eat, couldn't think, barely spoke. She noticed, kept asking, "Are you okay?" And I'd just nod or grunt. I wanted to wait until I knew what to say, but let's be honest, there's no script for this kind of thing. Saturday afternoon rolled around. She was getting ready to run errands, and something in me just snapped. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom while she was putting on makeup, red lipstick, same shade she wore that night. I said, as calmly as I could, "Who's the guy in the Audi?" She froze, like a deer in headlights. Didn't even try to play dumb. "What?" "I saw you. Thursday night. Kissing him in the car. Right outside." There was a pause, maybe 3 seconds long, and then she rolled her eyes. Rolled her fucking eyes, like I had just accused her of stealing cookies or something. "Oh my God. Are you spying on me now? Are you cheating on me?" She didn't answer right away. She went back to dabbing foundation on her cheeks, like I wasn't even there. I stepped closer. "Answer me." She sighed. Then she looked at me in the mirror and said, "His name is Nathan. He's my coworker. And yes, we've been seeing each other." I stood there, stunned. She said it like she was telling me what groceries she forgot to buy. No shame. No apology. Just facts. "I can't keep doing this, okay?" she said. You sit around all day doing nothing, living in your little sad bubble, while I work my ass off just to come home to a man who's given up on life. What did you think was going to happen? That one hit harder than anything else. I lost my job. I've been trying to figure things out, Al. For a year, Josh. A year. And all you do is mope around like life owes you something. I got tired of pretending we're still some happy couple. Nathan actually listens to me. He works. He has goals. You don't even get dressed some days. There it was. All the resentment, all the anger, she'd been bottling it up for months, and now it was pouring out, poison in every word. And I just stood there, taking it, because I didn't know what else to do. You could have just told me, I said, instead of sneaking around like a coward. She laughed. Told you what? That I don't love you anymore? That I'm sick of waking up next to someone who quit on life and expects me to carry everything. That was it. That's when I knew this wasn't just about cheating. This was her way out. She'd been done with me for a long time. Nathan was just the exit strategy. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just left the room and closed the door behind me. After that confrontation, things just crumbled. Not all at once, but piece by piece, like pulling threads from a sweater until there's nothing left but tangled yarn. She didn't apologize. She didn't cry. She didn't even try to defend herself. And I didn't have the strength to fight. What do you even say to someone who's already made up their mind to leave? The next few days were this weird limbo. We were still in the same apartment, orbiting around each other like strangers in a bus station. She started sleeping on the couch without saying a word about it. She'd come home late every night and wouldn't even bother lying anymore. She'd just say, "Don't wait up," like I was a damn roommate. I sank fast. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I stopped showering. I stopped eating. I just laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, playing mental reruns of everything she said, everything I saw. My thoughts were on repeat like some torture playlist I couldn't turn off. What hurt the most wasn't even the cheating, not really. It was how easy it was for her to discard me. Like I was some broken appliance she'd finally decided to toss out. After all those years together, I was just inconvenient. Dead weight. Something she had to step over to get to a better version of her life. I tried reaching out to an old friend, my college buddy Kyle, and when I told him everything, he just said, "Man, I've seen this coming for a while." That wrecked me more than it should have. I didn't even realize I'd been so obvious to everyone else. I thought I was hiding my failure better. At one point, I found myself scrolling through her Instagram at 3 a.m., like some sad detective. I saw a post from a few weeks ago, a work dinner. She was tagged in it. And there he was. Nathan. Slick suit, jawline you could sharpen knives on. His hand was just barely on her lower back. Smiling like he already knew he won. The jealousy was bitter, yeah. But more than that, it was confirmation. I wasn't crazy. I hadn't imagined this. I drank a lot that week. Not proud of it. I'd never been much of a drinker, but when you're trying to drown thoughts that won't shut up, anything feels like a lifeline. I didn't talk to her. She didn't talk to me. The silence between us was louder than any argument we ever had. And in that silence, I started to realize something brutal. I had let myself rot for so long, I stopped being someone even I would want to be around. So it finally happened. The day everything officially fell apart. The day she stopped pretending we had anything left to salvage. It was a Wednesday. Gray skies, rain tapping against the windows like the universe was trying to add mood lighting to my own personal tragedy. She came home early for once, around 6:15, which caught me off guard. I was in the kitchen reheating ramen for the third time that week, wearing the same sweatpants I'd been in for days. She walked in, saw me at the stove, and said, without looking up from her phone, "We need to talk." I already knew what was coming. You can feel it when it's not just over emotionally, it's over legally. She sat at the kitchen table, pulled out a folder from her purse, and dropped it with a flat thud. Divorce papers. No yelling. No drawn-out fight. Just paperwork. "I'm filing this week," she said. "I'm done, Josh. I don't want to keep dragging this out. It's not healthy for either of us." I asked her, still clinging to some pathetic thread of hope, "Is there really nothing left worth saving?" She actually paused for a second, and for a moment I thought she might say something like, "Maybe, if you change, or if we went to therapy," but no. She just looked at me and said, "You're not the man I married." Cold. Final. And then, to top it off, she dropped this little bonus bomb. "I'm moving in with Nathan." I laughed. Actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because my brain couldn't process how absurd it all was. Like, she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The man she'd been cheating on me with was now her plan A. No grace period. No cooling off time. Just straight from, I'm done with you to, I'm starting my new life. I asked her how long it had been going on. She said, 5 months. 5 freaking months. I was in this house, spiraling into depression, thinking I was the problem, while she was off building a second life behind my back. And get this, apparently Nathan knew about me the whole time. She told him everything. That I was unemployed. That I was depressed. That I was, in her words, checked out of reality. She told me, with zero remorse, that she and Nathan had actually talked about me one night over wine and sushi. He thinks you need help, she said. And honestly, he's right. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the bowl of ramen against the wall. But I didn't. I just sat down, numb, and asked the only thing I could think of. So that's it. You're just leaving. Her response? I left a long time ago, Josh. I've just been waiting for you to notice. That line burned into my brain. I still hear it when I close my eyes. To twist the knife even further, she told me she was taking the cat. My cat. Well, ours, technically, this orange tabby we rescued 2 years ago named Charlie. But let's be real, Charlie was mine. Slept on my chest every night. Followed me around like a shadow. Charlie's used to my schedule, she said. You're barely functioning. He'd be better off with me. I didn't even fight her on it. I just sat there, watching the rain slide down the glass, wondering how the hell I let my whole life get hijacked. And just when I thought I couldn't feel any smaller, she stood up, picked up the folder, and said, I'll be back Friday to get my stuff. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. Then she walked out. No hug. No goodbye. Just keys jingling and the door clicking shut behind her. I sat on the kitchen floor for hours after that. Lights off. Bowl of ramen cold and untouched. I think I actually passed out at one point, still on the tile. That was the day I stopped thinking of her as my wife. She became someone else. A stranger in my house who'd worn my hoodie, shared my bed, kissed someone else in a car like I didn't exist. That was the day everything collapsed. After she left, I didn't just spiral. I crashed. Like a full-on, no parachute nosedive into the dirt. Friday came, like she said, and she showed up with 2 cardboard boxes, barely spoke a word. She walked into our bedroom, packed up her stuff like she was vacuuming a hotel room after checkout, mechanical, detached, fast. She took her dresses, her shoes, her dumb Himalayan salt lamp that she swore helped with sleep, and of course, Charlie. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Watching her walk out with that cat in her arms felt like the final nail. Charlie looked back at me once from her shoulder. He didn't meow, just stared, then disappeared around the corner. The silence after that was unbearable. No footsteps in the hallway. No coffee brewing in the morning. No random humming from the bathroom while she did her makeup. The bed felt massive without her, and yet somehow smaller, like I was being buried in it. And you know what really messed me up? The smell of her shampoo on the pillowcase. I kept flipping it over, trying to escape it, but it never really faded. I stopped opening the curtains. Stopped answering texts. My phone rang maybe twice that whole week, one from my mom, one from a debt collector. I ignored both. The kitchen was a wasteland of takeout boxes and empty beer cans. I didn't even like beer. But I found a half-flat 6-pack in the back of the fridge and made it my emotional support animal. I had this moment, and I'm being real with you here, where I just sat in the bathtub fully clothed, lights off, no water, just sitting. For like 2 hours. It was the only place in the apartment that didn't feel haunted by her. Like the bedroom screamed her name, the couch whispered it, the kitchen flat out wept it. But the tub? It was neutral. Empty. Safe in a weird way. At one point, I thought about texting her. Just to say something. Ask if she was okay. Ask if she missed me, or if she ever felt guilty. But I didn't. Because I knew she was fine. Thriving, probably. Living it up in Nathan's trendy apartment. Eating avocado toast, and watching documentaries about the economy or whatever suits like him do in their free time. And me? I was in a hoodie that smelled like sweat and sadness, scrolling job listings I didn't have the energy to apply for. I applied to one job, a part-time cashier gig at a hardware store, and didn't even show up for the phone interview. Rock bottom isn't just sadness. It's emptiness. It's when you stop being sad and start being numb. Like your emotions just pack up and leave the way she did. I felt like a ghost in my own life. Then came the worst part. About 2 weeks after she left, I got a letter in the mail from her lawyer. It wasn't just divorce paperwork. It was a request for me to move out. She wanted the apartment. Said it was closer to her work and made more financial sense. I sat there holding that letter like it was a threat, not just to my housing, but to whatever pathetic little scraps of identity I had left. I had no job, no money, no friends nearby, and now, no place to call home. It was like losing a war I didn't even know I was fighting. But here's the strange thing about rock bottom. Once you're down there, once the dust settles and you're sitting in the pit, you start to realize you can either die there or start climbing out. I didn't know it yet, but that letter was the beginning of the end of the worst version of me. Something cracked in me after I got that letter from her lawyer. I'm not talking about an emotional breakdown or some dramatic TV moment. I mean something quieter, something subtle, like an engine turning over after being dead for months. A shift. Small, barely noticeable, but real. I didn't start going to the gym or journaling or doing yoga or whatever Reddit usually recommends when people get dumped. I wasn't there yet, but I did finally take a shower. That probably doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you've spent days stewing in your own filth and depression, it feels like climbing Everest just to stand under hot water and scrub the crust off your existence. I trimmed my beard, brushed my teeth, put on clean clothes for the first time in who knows how long. Then, I opened the blinds. Sunlight hit the living room like a slap. It was dusty, and the couch looked like it had been through a frat party hosted by depression itself. But something about seeing the outside again reminded me that the world didn't end just because my world did. That same day, I walked to the corner store. Just for air. I grabbed a coffee and stood outside sipping it, watching people go about their lives. There was this old dude feeding pigeons and a mom chasing her toddler around in a dinosaur hoodie. They had no idea how broken I was. That somehow made me feel a little less broken. Like if the world kept spinning for them, maybe it could spin for me too. And then, no joke, I saw Nathan. Across the street. He didn't see me. He was standing next to his stupid Audi, on the phone, looking all perfect in his tailored coat and smug jawline. I froze. I don't know if it was bitterness or curiosity or just plain spite, but I followed him. Yeah, I turned into a stalker for about 20 minutes. He walked into a little cafe, and when I peeked through the window, there she was. Her, my wife, ex-wife-to-be, sitting there like she hadn't left a smoking crater where my heart used to be. They were laughing, sharing a slice of cake. She touched his hand across the table and leaned in like they were living in some rom-com montage. And I realized, I didn't feel jealous. I didn't even feel angry. I felt done. That was the real shift. Not the shower. Not the sunlight. This. Watching them together and realizing that no amount of apologies or groveling would ever bring her back. And honestly, I didn't even want her back anymore. Not that version of her. Not the version that lied to me, slept with her coworker, and took my damn cat. That moment gave me something I hadn't felt in months. Direction. When I got home, I took the letter from the lawyer and looked at it again. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I opened my laptop and actually replied to the damn email. Subject. Divorce and property request. Body. Understood. I'll move out by the end of the month. No argument. Let's get this over with. I didn't even flinch when I hit send. That night, I started looking for a room to rent. Nothing fancy, just a room in a shared place somewhere away from this apartment. This mess, this version of me I'd let rot. It wasn't hope. Not yet. But it was movement. And movement, after rock bottom, is everything. Leaving that apartment was like peeling off a scab that hadn't finished healing. I thought it'd feel liberating, like shedding a snake's skin or stepping into a new chapter or whatever poetic metaphor people use when they leave the past behind. But honestly, it just felt sad. Packing was weird. Every drawer I opened was a landmine. A t-shirt I hadn't worn since our last vacation. A movie stub from our 3rd anniversary date night. Her bobby pin still jammed between couch cushions. I found one of Charlie's old toys under the coffee table, this little jingly mouse that he used to bat around like a maniac. I sat on the floor holding that dumb thing and just stared at it for what felt like an hour. There's something humiliating about watching your life fit into cardboard boxes. You start to realize how much crap you've accumulated, not just stuff, but memories. Ghosts. Versions of yourself frozen in time. I kept the stuff that felt like me. The books she always rolled her eyes at. My busted old PS4. The hoodie she said made me look like a homeless raccoon. Yeah, I kept that one on principle. I even kept one of our mugs. It says, "World's okayest husband." She gave it to me as a joke a few years back. I guess it became prophetic. The day I actually left, I didn't tell her. I didn't want a scene. I rented a U-Haul, shoved everything into it, and drove to a shared house I found on Craigslist. Nothing fancy for roommates, 2 cats, smells vaguely like weed and soup, but it was not our apartment, and that's what mattered. I didn't cry. I thought I might, but I didn't. I felt empty, but in a clean way, like scrubbing out a filthy dish. Still cracked, sure, but at least the gunk was gone. Funny thing, as I was locking up the apartment for the last time, I noticed something wedged behind the fridge. A photo strip. One of those black and white ones from a mall booth. It was us, 2 years ago. She's sticking her tongue out in the first frame. I'm making that stupid face I always did to make her laugh. Last frame, she's kissing my cheek, and I'm grinning like a fool. I almost tossed it. But instead, I slipped it into my wallet. Not because I still love her, but because that version of me, the one in the photo, he tried. He believed. He was all in. And I think he deserves to be remembered, even if she didn't. I dropped the keys in the mailbox slot, heard them clink at the bottom, and just like that, our chapter ended. Moving into the shared house was like switching dimensions. My roommates were all younger, college students or fresh grads, full of noise and cheap energy drinks. They didn't know my story. Didn't know I'd spent the last few months sinking into a pit of betrayal and microwave dinners. And honestly, I liked it that way. The room was small. Just a bed, a desk, a busted lamp with a wonky switch. No memories. No emotional booby traps hiding in drawers. I had a single window that looked out onto a street where nothing ever really happened, and I loved it. The first few nights were weird. I kept expecting to hear her humming in the other room. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. reaching for a body that wasn't there. But slowly, that faded, like muscle memory wearing off. One of the roommates, Dan, was into photography. We started talking over takeout one night, and he ended up asking me to come along on a shoot. I said yes, mostly just to get out of the house. But something clicked that day, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Interest. In something. Anything. Next thing I knew, I was Googling secondhand cameras and watching YouTube tutorials on lighting and composition. I hadn't had a hobby in years. Didn't think I deserved one. But picking up that camera felt like shaking hands with a part of myself I forgot existed. I even landed a job part-time at a bookstore. It's not glamorous, and I still don't know what I want to do long-term, but it's something. I get up, I go to work, I interact with people. That's more than I could say a few months ago when I was just a mattress stain with a beard. The real turning point, though? I saw her again. Ran into her at the grocery store of all places. She was with Nathan, of course, looking pristine and bored, like always. She saw me and froze. I gave her a polite nod, said, "Hey," and kept walking. She called my name. I turned. She looked me up and down, probably noticing the weight I'd lost, the cleaner haircut, the fact that I didn't look like I lived in a cave anymore. "You look good," she said. I just smiled and said, "Yeah, I know." And I meant it. I didn't feel anger. Didn't feel longing. I just felt done. It's been 6 months since the divorce was finalized. Charlie's still with her, and yeah, that sucks. But I don't think about it much anymore. I've got other things now, roommates who blast bad music and argue about anime, a crappy camera that's become my favorite possession, and this quiet, strange sense of forward momentum. I still have bad days. Some nights I stare at the ceiling and wonder how I didn't see it coming sooner, or what I could have done differently. But I don't live in that place anymore. I visit, and then I leave. If you're reading this and you're going through something similar, if you just found out the person you loved is lying to your face, kissing someone else while you're folding their laundry, here's my advice. Don't beg. Don't chase. Don't burn your dignity just to keep someone who's already gone. Feel it. Let yourself be miserable. But don't stay there. Do one thing every day that isn't about them. Read. Walk. Cook. Breathe. Keep doing that one thing until you're doing 2. Then 3. And for the love of all things holy, open the damn blinds. You're not weak for falling apart. You're human. And you'll rebuild, not into who you used to be, but into someone new. Someone better. I thought I lost everything when she walked away. Turns out, I just got the space I needed to finally find me.